A step forward in the Dak Prescott negotiations and a twist at 2. Are the Redskins considering a quarterback with their second overall pick? It is the eve of the Combine in Indianapolis, and we've got a lot to discuss on Indianapolis. A major development in the Cowboys' negotiations with Dak Prescott. The first conversation between the team and his agent since September. According to Rapaport, it happened today in Indy. Didn't last long, but again, a step forward toward a deal that the Cowboys have made clear they want to get done. New head coach Mike McCarthy reiterating today that Dak Prescott is their guy.
Is Dak Prescott your franchise quarterback?
Dak Prescott? Oh, definitely. I mean, it's exactly where we want to be with Dak. I think what he's done to this point, speaks to itself. I mean, and really, Dak is he's in a business situation right now. I've gone through this as a head coach with a number of my players in the past, and I think, like anything, it's just time to be patient and let the business people work out the business matter. All the things that are involved with that, those are really for Jerry and Steven and Dak's representatives.
A lot of reasons this could be taking a while, the CBA being one, and we'll get to that in just a sec. But also, Prescott's now the only free agent that the Cowboys are trying to retain right now. Amari Cooper also has an expiring contract, and so does Byron Jones. And as you see here, they're also up there with the top guys available this offseason. Looks like they've got a lot of money, $77 million worth of cap space. But Stephen Jones has intimated that might not be enough to keep them all. And so I turn to Terrell Davis and James Jones, and I ask you this. Which players should be their priority?
Well, I'm going with Dak first, obviously. The quarterback should be priority. I would say second is probably Byron Jones. And the reason I'm saying him over Cooper is because we heard Daniel talk about the depth of wide receivers in this draft class. And that's what you have to look at. You have to say, okay, if we don't re-sign Cooper, where are we going next? And there is a lot of talent in this class here. So for me, it's you get Dak done, you get Byron Jones done, because he's a cornerback safety kind of guy that can play both positions. You like his versatility. And then you worry about Cooper last. But, I'm not saying that Cooper is not deserving of a new contract. I'm saying, but that has to be the priority. And in a perfect world, all three guys come back. But, man, you got $77 million with cap space, but you got to sign a lot of people, not just these three guys for your team.
This is a tough position to be in for the Cowboys because obviously you want to start with Dak Prescott. He's the franchise quarterback. But I remember when Dak Prescott didn't have Amari Cooper, and we all were sitting here like, man, they need to get some weapons in here around him because he's not that good without certain guys around him. Coop comes in, and immediate separation, immediate impact. He starts making plays. And then on the defensive side of the ball, you got one of the most versatile players in the National Football League in Byron Jones, who could play safety, could play slot, could play corner, always follows the number one receiver. So they're in a tough position. It's tough to put one of those guys out. They got to find a way to keep them all.
I would like for you to come down on one of them, though.
He
said Byron was the last man out, with no disrespect to Byron. No, I'm sorry. You said Cooper. I apologize. You said Cooper because they need Byron.
I would have to agree with him, but I just do not like Dak without Coop.
You want all of them.
From the business side of it, yes, I would sign Dak, then Byron Jones, then Amari. But I do not like Dak Prescott without Amari Cooper.
And then there's Cobb. Mike McCarthy said today that they want to try and keep Cooper and Cobb. Frankly, Byron Jones is the one that they have talked about the least. Yeah. So
I would love for them to keep Randall Cobb just because Randall Cobb is one of those guys who understand Coach Mike's offense. So when these young players come in, the vets come in, Randall Cobb, we're in Green Bay, we're taught to play every position. So he could teach these guys and bring these guys along fast on that offense if you get a vet in there that knows Coach Mike's offense.
Because you guys in Green Bay know how it's done.
Yeah, we smart like that. We play all these positions,
Interesting layer to all of this is what's going on with the tag, because as of right now, they have the capability to franchise tag one guy and transition tag another, but that could change if the new CBA goes through, and we are one step away from that happening. Rapaport, what's the latest on that situation?
Well, late last night, actually early this morning, around 1:30 a.m., the NFLPA player reps voted in the new CBA, the proposed new CBA that the NFL owners have already ratified as well. But that, of course, is not all. Now it goes out in a process that probably should take about a week and a half, maybe to 2 weeks. It goes out to the entire body of players. Nearly 2,000 votes are going to be handled electronically. And if the players approve by more than 50%, there will be a new CBA. But of course, that's something that over the next 10 years will dramatically affect the NFL landscape. Right now, what matters, and you mentioned it, is the franchise tag. And as it speaks right now, with this new CBA in limbo, teams are allowed to use not only the franchise tag, but also the transition tag. So 2 tags for this franchise window that opens tomorrow. However, if a deal does get approved by the players, then teams are actually only going to be allowed to use 1 tag. So one of the tags will be vacated. What does that mean? It means for the Titans, for the Cowboys, for the Bucks, and others, a very good player is going to be a free agent. So it adds to the free agent pool.
We've seen a number of high-profile players in the last 24 hours pushing back against the deal, like Russell Wilson, who compared the league to the NBA and MLB in a tweet. He said those 2 leagues are doing it right, that the players come first. He says NFL players deserve the same. Quote, "We should not rush the next 10 years for today's satisfaction. I vote no." What's not clear in this tweet is what specifically he doesn't like in this deal. And I should point out, he's not alone in expressing his reservations. As far as you know, Ian, what do the players not like about the CBA the way it stands right now?
Yeah, we've seen some other high-profile players. ROdgers, of course, just released a statement on Twitter outlining why he voted no on this proposed CBA. And what Rodgers specifically mentioned is the lack of a shortened offseason. He wanted more recovery time. He wanted a little better workplace environment. And it seems pretty clear that Rodgers and a lot of the other high-profile players who've spoken out want a 50-50 split of revenue between the owners and the players. They are going to be at 48.5% with a 17-game number that actually can go up if the TV deals are especially lucrative. The lack of the split being 50% does seem to be the issue that most are opposed with, but of course it's all over the place with so many players, so the issues vary from player to player.
Not to put you on the spot, though, I'm going to put you on the spot. Do you know where the 48% ranks in terms of the other leagues and their percentages?
It actually depends on how you calculate the revenue. Some baseball, for instance, goes from one range to another. It really does depend on how you calculate it. What is interesting, though, is the players are going to get a lot more money, especially in these TV contracts get done, and they are raring to go. So they will benefit significantly if this deal gets done now as opposed to next year.
Ian Rapaport live in Indianapolis. Thank you very much.
Lindsay, I got an interesting one from Indianapolis here. So the Redskins, they have first-round pick last year, Dwayne Haskins, at the quarterback position. But they also have the 2nd overall pick in this year's draft. And today, they revealed they are going to meet with the 2 best quarterback prospects in Indianapolis.
We're not closing the door on anything. One of the things that Kyle and I talked about is that we have to go through this process because you don't know. You don't know what's going to happen in front of you. You don't know what's going to happen with you. So we're going to go through, and your Tua is one of the guys that we're bringing in, just so everybody knows. Okay, we're bringing in Burrows, we're bringing in Tua, and we'll see both of their workouts. I mean, that's just the way it is. I mean, you just don't know. So we're going to prepare. We're going to get ourselves ready. We're gonna obviously look at some of the other players. We're gonna look at Chase. They're gonna look at the corners. We're gonna look at everybody.
We know they're going to look at Chase. In fact, all of our draft experts who have done mock drafts have Chase Young out of Ohio State going number 2 overall to Washington. So it could be a shock if they go elsewhere. But TD, I ask you, should the Skins consider a quarterback with the 2nd overall pick?
Absolutely, Scott. The Redskins need to take a page from the Cardinals playbook of last year's draft. They had a quarterback they drafted the year before in Josh Rosen. They still went out and drafted Kyler Murray, number 1 overall, and it seems like it is working out well. So I think Tua should be the quarterback for the Redskins because Dwayne Haskins, I like him a lot, but I think Tua has a greater upside. And I think that if he didn't get hurt, he would have been the number 1 overall pick. So you can't let a quarterback of his talent get past you. So Redskins, you're on the clock. You got to pick Tua.
Oh,
back
boy,
to you, Scott.
TD, this is what we call combine buzz right now. So let's go back live to Indianapolis. Ian Rapaport joins us again. Assuming that's Joe Burrow, number 1 to the Bengals. Is Tua, number 2 to the Skins, a real possibility?
It's not the craziest thing we've ever heard, and you guys just mentioned it. The Cardinals literally did the same thing last year. Now, obviously, there were a lot more positive signs for Dwayne Haskins toward the end of the season, but it is a new staff. You have Scott Turner, the offensive coordinator. You have Ron Rivera, who did not pick Dwayne Haskins. They like him. They would like him to be the franchise quarterback, but Tua is such a good prospect, such a promising prospect. If they believe he is head and shoulders above Haskins, if they believe he is the franchise guy, at least they will have to consider it, and that includes evaluating everything about him, about Joe Burrow, and potentially some of the other top quarterbacks. And one thing, Scott, that might also help, if they do end up entertaining trade offers for that number 2 pick, it'd be nice to know how good the quarterback prospects are. That's what's going to go on here in the process as well.
Yeah, don't think for one second they're not sending a signal to everyone else who might want a quarterback to say, we're open for business. Phone lines are open there as well. Can you imagine if Chase Young slid to number 3? Matt